good deal for them.
Yeah, I got one question out there. We had a question earlier for you, Chico. I mean, from the chat, Chico, to Coach Pollock. Someone just asked about Fossome Field, and we'll be using another field because they're right now outside this window prepping that for the turf to go down. So that won't be ready by next week, I would imagine. So that upgrade, the Bach 1404 asked about that. So that upgrade is underway right now, and I had a little weather delay yesterday, but the equipment and dirt is moving around out there now.
Well, I'll tell you what, even yesterday they did as much work as they could considering the rain. So they're hard at it. They got them. I think they're doing a great job out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing the finished product.
Yes, sir.
So for everybody don't know, they're replacing the grass with artificial turf going around, right?
Yes,
that's correct.
That's right.
That's correct. And it's multifaceted, man. It's gonna speed play up for the players, but it also puts everybody looks at the revenue side of things, Coach, in this day in this environment. And one of the things that when you have a nice stadium like this facility with the flat irons back there, and you got grass down, you're limited on what kind of events you can do outside of football,
right?
Because you got to keep the field ready for football. So you're going to see more concerts and that kind of thing take place in this facility.
Correct. And then another thing too is we're with the college football playoff first round being a home game for some teams that are getting those seedings that earn a home game. We're hoping to be one of those teams.
Absolutely.
If we don't get we'd rather get the first round bye, but but we want to prepare ourselves so that our field is in great shape late in the year when we possibly have to host a home playoff game. And it's very hard to do that when you've got a grass field.
Absolutely, man. Investing in success, because you got to believe the success is going to come because you're working for it.
Right.
Yeah. And you won't have a situation like last year, was it, where somebody ran or drove onto the field and messed it all up to where the field crew had to do a lot of work right before that? You won't have that problem with the turf.
I hope not. I hope we got that gate over there where they drove a little bit sturdier. Hey, it's kind of like the man that has his mailbox hit with the baseball bat by some kids at night on Friday night, and then eventually he's like, you know what, I'm gonna fix this and I'm gonna build brick around it.
Exactly.
Then they hit that bat. They kind of get the bat popped back on them. So
exactly. Yes.
Hey, Coach, we know that this time of year, Coach Swayze has the keys to the team, and the football guys are not involved in that. But still from a special teams or schematic standpoint, talk about some of the things that you and Coach Zim are working on, in June when you're not with the players.
Well, I tell you right now, we're working on finalizing our PLP time with the players. We have 5 or 6 dates this summer that we're going to have PLPs, and we want to make sure that special teams is not left out of that time. So many times you get caught up in doing 7-on-7s and 1-on-1s with O-line, D-line, and stuff like that, and you kind of forget about special teams for a while. And we're trying to keep special teams on our team's mind. We really feel like we've got a talented group of kickers and punters and snappers and everything, and we just feel like that we want to get the whole team involved for a little period during that PLP time throughout June and July, in which we can institute some of our schemes and drill work that we're going to be doing in August as we go through fall camp.
And for those who may not be in the know, PLP stands for player-led practice. And you get a couple of those where the players can go out there and practice, by themselves without the coaches standing over them.
Right.
And that kind of thing. So that's just a part of that summer mechanics, as the summer goes on.
And of course we're working on our first 3 opponents. Yeah. We're working on Georgia Tech, we're working on Delaware, and working on Houston, so we can get a head start on those guys. And because a lot of the preparation for those 3 teams is going to be based off what they did last year. That's the only film we have right now, and that's what we're having to go by. And of course, as we play more games, we'll get into evaluating more of what a team does next year as they get ready for us. But right now, we're kind of in the mindset of just putting in, preliminary game plans for those 3 opponents as we get through June and July, while we have time to focus on that and don't have a lot of other things going on the field with the players besides the workouts with them. with Coach Swayze and the guys. And, that's going to give us a jump start into August and help us throughout fall camp as we get ready for the season.
I found that question for you, Coach. Chico had asked the chat to drop some questions for you. It was from Statesman 15. Question for Coach Pollock: how are the new kick and punt returners looking? Do we have a consistent mid-range kicking game? 45 yards or so. So just talk about what you saw from the spring from an evaluation standpoint.
Well, 45 yards in, it's Mata time. So we feel like we're good there. And then of course 45 out, we've got the cannon Buck Buchanan coming in, and he handles those longer range field goals. Feel good about those two guys. Complete confidence in their ability to execute. And then we've got some guys behind them that have really worked hard to come in and earn their spot in the depth chart. And as far as returners go, we feel like that we've added some pieces in the portal that we're going to look at for the return position. I mean, we've got some guys that did it in the spring that we feel good about, but we've added a couple of guys in the portal, the post-spring portal, to also give us some other depth at those positions, and we'll just have to see how fall camp goes and see who comes out on top of that battle.
If there was a way you would say that you're going to put your stamp on the special teams, what is that way? What is something that we'll be seeing as far as viewership from the outside in, that we'll say, oh, that's Coach Pollock's stamp on the special teams?
Well, I really tell you this. I really want to improve our return game. I've punt return and kickoff return. We returned one kick last year, one punt for a touchdown, and I felt like that we probably, Coach Prime has voiced his concern from last year that we were not as explosive as he would like to have us to been in the return game, which, I mean, you're talking to a guy that's top 2 punt returner, kickoff returner of all time in NFL. So of course he wants that part of the game to shine. And when you have some explosive guys back there like we had, we need to do better. So I'm hoping to put my stamp on the return game and show some improvement there. And I think we can, and we're going to definitely put a lot of work into that so that we really make that something that people have to worry about with us, and they have to really game plan us and understand that that's a play that they're going to have to defend.
Yeah, I like that, Coach, that looking in the mirror and just that honest reflection on what we got to improve on, because I'm with you. When you look at the speed that we had last year, whether it was a Jimmy Horn Jr. or Wester, and I know that there are a lot of things that go into a play working.
Right.
There are 10 other people out there that got to do their jobs, and the ball got to be kicked just right and all that. I get all that. But if there was any place I thought statistically we underachieved, it would have been in their return game and flipping some of that field position for the offense.
Right. Well, like I say, Coach Prime made a point of that coming back in January, that he wanted that to improve. So that's been something that we spent a lot of time focusing on, and we'll continue to do so. And you're right. It's going to be 11 guys working together to do something like that. I know when Coach was with Dallas, I think he told his guys if he returned 4 punts or 4 kicks in a year for a touchdown, they got a Rolex. So I don't know if NIL lets us do that or whatever, but I mean, whatever we got to do, man, within the confines of the rules, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's one of those things, man, that there's some crazy stat out there, Coach. I don't want to misquote it, but a team that scores, a punt return or a kickoff return go on to win the game like 90% of the time or something.
No doubt.
It's one of those scores that's not factored in. So
right.
You could really change the outcome of a game with that.
Absolutely.
Yep. Third phase of the game.
No doubt.
Coach, let me ask you this question as a special team coordinator. On punts, right? What position do you look for to cover your punts the most? Is there a specific position or just like a skill set you look for to add on your punt coverage team?
Well, I tell you what, with our punt, we use a pro style punt. So we've got 2 gunners in a slot. So we depend on them a lot to get down there and make plays. and of course it all starts with the punter and ball placement. We don't want to kick the ball down the middle of the field because that's just a recipe for disaster. We want to play directional kick and try to give ourselves an opportunity to shut off half of the field and only have to cover half the field. And then, but like I say, our gunners and slots have got to get down there. They've got to break down. They got to be ready to make plays. And because the rest of our guys are tied up in protection. And then, of course, they're covering after that. But, yeah, those three guys are very important. And we're looking for three guys that can get down the field, get off press coverage, and make a play in the open field. And prevent an explosive play from even getting started.
Yeah,
Coach, I got to tell you the punchline. What Chico was hoping there, he was hoping because he played tight end that you were going to say how much you really rely on tight ends. Like that's what had him on the edge of his seat.
Hey, they play guard for us on punt. Their job is to block.
Nothing wrong with that. That's what makes them one of the most athletic positions on the field. They can run,
let me tell you something.
block.
We've got some guys that have done a great job at that position too. I mean, we really, I'm going to tell you something, just so everybody knows out there special teams wise, because I know there's a lot of people out there that worry about recruiting and going to NFL. If you play tight end or running back, you better be valuable on special teams because you will not, unless you are the guy, unless you're Travis Kelce or you're Derrick Henry or somebody like that at those positions, you are going to have to make a roster on special teams.
Absolutely.
I mean, right here in Denver, Terrell Davis was about to get cut by the Broncos and goes down there and makes a play on kickoff and gets everybody's attention. And that's what got him a roster spot. And of course, he didn't have a Hall of Fame career, And so if you're a tight end or a running back, I mean, I'm just speaking from an offensive standpoint right now, you've got to be valuable on special teams. I mean, you just cannot sit there and not help on your special teams. And in college, if you look at some of the elite programs, I mean, I'm gonna go back to Georgia, and I can remember when Sony Michel played for the Dogs, and he covered kickoffs. And Todd Gurley was a kick returner. And so you've got to be at those two positions. You're looking for that to increase your value. Be a special teams player. Be a guy that can play on at least four special teams, and you'll make yourself valuable. And I'm gonna tell you, that's going to increase your odds of going to the NFL. Because, like I say, if you're in the NFL and you're not the starting tight end or you're not the number one running back, chances are the only way you're going to get a roster spot is if you're a valuable special teams player. So we value our tight ends. We've done a great job of upgrading that room with Coach Brett Bartolone, and then of course Coach Falk has upgraded our running back room as well. And we're looking for some production special teams wise out of those two rooms.
Yeah, a couple quick points. I know we got Deuce and Scoopers joining us, so we can bring him onto the panel as well, Chico. But when you look at, I know you spoke on it from the offensive side of the ball, Coach, but when you look at, I would say probably third round on back, and you're not a quarterback, you better be able to make some noise on special teams if you want to.
Yes.
If you want to make that 53-man
like I say,
roster.
defensively, we look at our linebacker room and our safeties room. Our corners. Those guys have to be 3 and 4 core special teams players for us, that it's just if you got to make yourself more valuable, and to do that, you got to show that you can help the football team at different places, and in the NFL with the roster limits and everything, they're looking for guys that in those 3rd round to 7th round picks, free agent picks. Okay, what kind of value does this guy give us as a special teams player? And so that's where you can be. It could be you compared to another kid. And if you're a guy that say you're a safety but you've also played on 4 different special teams in college. I mean, listen, let's just face it. They're looking at a guy that's already done it versus a guy that's just been a safety and nothing else. It's going to make a difference in their decision.
Now, Coach, being where you from and I'm from, we ain't like Chico. We cut our own grass. But for those who out there who hire people to do it, you're going to cut a guy. You're going to pay a guy to just do the yard, or you're going to pay a guy to do the hedges too and trim everything and line it up. You got to bring more than one thing to the table if you want to stick somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. You know, it's in everything you do. The more value you bring to yourself, the more chance you have to move up the ladder of success. And it's no different with football.
Yep. Yep. You got to be able to do multiple things out there, dog.
I mean, it's no different with coaches. You know, like if
Yep.
you got a coach that say he coaches his position, but he doesn't coach any special teams. I mean, and then or he's not doesn't recruit as well. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy that coaches his position can recruit and coach special teams. I mean, he's going to get an opportunity to move on up the ladder one day when another guy's not. So I'm like I say, it works on our end too.
Look
And
at
I don't say
yourself,
this
coach. Look at
you're sitting
yourself.
here, coach.
Yeah.
I don't say this because you're sitting here. I mean,